Okay, well firstly I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for meeting with me. Thank you. And your place of birth, please.
Jamaica.
Whereabouts in Jamaica?
St. James in Jamaica.
Can you describe your childhood to me, your early years?
My early years of childhood, like when I was at school.
Around that, preschool if you remember it, school?
Well, I had a good schooling years, you know. Excuse me. I started school when I was about 5, and I left school when I was 16, 17. Yeah. I went to primary school, secondary school, and that was it. I didn't go on to college because my parents couldn't afford that, you know, in those days.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I had plenty of brothers and sisters. I had 5 brothers and 4 sisters.
Were you the youngest or the oldest, or?
I was the youngest, because the youngest had died, so I was placed as the youngest.
Okay, so you were the very youngest out of all those many brothers and sisters? Okay.
Yes.
So you had did you have many brothers and sisters looking after you at school then? You know.
Yes, it was a good atmosphere going to school. You know, you have your little tiff fighting and things like that, but nothing major, if you know what I mean. And yes, it was very good, very good.
How would you describe your household with so many brothers and sisters, your parents?
Again, you know, children do have your little squabbles. Nothing to worry about. We live loving.
Were grandparents living with?
Close by.
Close by, okay.
Mother and father in the same house as all the children, and grandparents the other side, very close. We all live in a very friendly atmosphere, very, very loving surrounding, if you put it like that.
So, are you talking about beyond the family household, the neighbours and the community was loving as well?
Yes, yes.
How?
Well, in the community that I lived in, it was more or less just family surrounded, family and good friends. You know, you have got other people that live in the area where I am from, that we all live loving. You know, like you said, I live in Wolverhampton at the moment. In those days, where I lived was Williamsfield in St. James.
So is that a town or a village, or?
Just a village. You'd say a village, what you'd call it. Yes. Mm.
And can you describe Williamsfield to me? I mean, what was significant, or what do you remember?
It was like it's a plantation area, yeah, where you've got houses and you've got fields of different type of things, like you've got cane, you've got mangoes, you've got coconuts, and you've got the rivers run through the land, you know, from one section to the other section, and that's about it. You know, it's just like anywhere else, you know.
As a child, what do you remember? Do you remember anything specific, any story of your childhood, whether it was some kind of adventure, whether it was getting told off, anything?
You mean getting told off by my parents?
Anything. Any incident, any one story.
All right. Well, no, I can't remember anything specific, to be honest.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, you talked about schooling, and you mentioned that you schooled up until secondary school, and then your parents couldn't afford to send you to college?
College, yes.
So does that mean previous to that, had any of your other brothers and sisters been educated beyond secondary school?
No, not that I know of. No.
So what options did you have available at that age? After?
Well, you do different things like dressmaking, hairdressing, and there weren't many factories as it is now here in this country. So you go out and seek different things, mainly for the girls, as I said, it's hairdressing, dressmaking, and different little things, soft furnishing, that comes under dressmaking. And that was it.
So are these things you learn at home, or are these things you go to college for? Or
some people can afford to go on to college, but we had people who are in that profession in the earlier years of their time, and then they take on apprentices and to carry on do it. You with me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're passing the knowledge and skills down.
Yeah, to others, and that's the way that's the way we carry on with work-wise. Same thing with carpentry, and for the men. That's how it was in my days.
Was religion at all a part of your life?
Yes.
Growing up in.
Yes. We had to go to church on Sundays, and we go to attend Sunday school, and yes, our parents was religious, and we grew up in it, and I'm still in the church at the moment.
If you, so, what did going to church on a Sunday mean? I mean, did you have to wear your best clothes, or?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
And did you enjoy Sunday school as a child?
Yes. I used to enjoy everything that, I set out to do, because I did dressmaking till, well, I'm not a professional dressmaker, but I can do some sewing, and again I can do hairdressing. You with me?
Yeah.
As I said, I'm not a professional, but I can do those things. I can do most things.
If you don't mind me asking, what denomination are you?
I'm an Anglican.
Anglican, okay.
Yeah.
And so, your dressmaking skills, were you able to earn an income from them?
No. It's just for ourselves.
Right.
With me particularly, and well, I've got a sister that she does it for a profession, but me, as for myself, I didn't take it up as a profession,
Right.
but I can do a little bit.
So what did you do after schooling and after,
Well, I went on to do here it's called childcare, but there it's just like nannying. Babysitting for other people, and I did that for a good many years. Well, when I say good many years, it would be just about 3 years or so, and then I leave Jamaica when I was 19 to come to England.
Okay, before we come to England, so you did that up until 19. Were you able to get paid for that, for the nannying?
Yes.
I know these skills can come naturally to a lot of us, but were you ever formally taught in how to do certain things in nannying?
From my parents and my sisters, because they've got children, and we help everybody out. So I know exactly what I was doing. I didn't give medication as such, so it didn't matter. I just wanted to know that you're able to keep the child clean, feed the child, and take them out for walks and things like that. Be responsible. That's all there was to it.
Out of having so many brothers and sisters, did you get on more with any than others?
No, not really. They're more like I get on with all of them. They're more like baby me more than anything. Because I was classed as the youngest one, because the younger ones died. Yeah.
Okay. You said at the age of 19 you came to this country.
Yes.
Can you lead me up to the events before that? I mean, why come to this country? What were the reasons that?
Well, when I was doing nannying, I left Montego Bay. I went to Kingston. That's where I met my husband. I met my husband in Kingston. He leaves and come to England, and he's asked me to come with him, and that's how it is.
So you were living in Montego Bay, or
yes,
Kingston?
Montego Bay.
Montego
Then
Bay.
I moved on to Kingston,
right,
where I met my husband.
Okay. So is there anything we need to hear about Montego Bay? I mean, what were you doing there? You were nannying there, or?
I was there with relatives.
Relatives.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then you moved to Kingston. For what reason? Work or?
Yes, work-wise. I was, well, there was a lady living in Montego Bay, and she knew I did nannying, and she had children, and she was going on to Kingston, and she asked if I could come with her, and with my parents' consent, then I went on to Kingston. Yeah.
And how did you find Kingston after Williamsfield? You know, coming from a village, and then you're working in Kingston.
I didn't live there before, but I had a visit there many times before living there. So it was all right. I find it comfortable to live.
Okay. And could you tell me how you met your husband in Kingston?
Well, it was a friend that she had her boyfriend living in the same house, and by visiting her, because we get to be friends, I met him. That's where I met my husband.
Right. So he was a friend of your friend's?
Yes.
Okay. And
because that friend, we all from the same area in Montego Bay. We went to school together, in other words. Mm.
How long had you been with your husband prior to him leaving for this country?
Oh, wow.
Because you met him at 18, 19?
I met him when I was about 18 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
No. Oh dear. I'm going back some time now. I met him, when I was about 18. Because he leaves shortly after. He leaves. I met him in the year when I was coming 19.
I wouldn't worry.
And then he leaves in the following year.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And came to England. And before he leaves, he asked me if I would come and join him. And I said yes.
So, why was he coming to England?
Well, just to know what the other side of the world is like, just like everybody else. He got the opportunity to come, so he did.
So, before he left, he asked you to join him?
Yes.
So, did that mean you were going to join him at a later date?
Yes, I'll join him at a later date.
Okay. When did you join him?
In 1962. He came in 61 and I came 62.
Do you remember the day, perhaps the date, the month, I mean?
I came here October 28. I leave Jamaica 28 and reach here the 29th of October 1962.
Sorry, could you repeat the last bit for me, please?
I came here, I left Jamaica the 28th and reached here the 29th of October 1962.
You came by plane?
Yes.
Okay. And can you describe to me your first impressions of this land?
Oh, well, to me, everything just looked like, when I first got here. It looks like everything's like a factory, with the buildings and everything. It looks very, very different from what I'm used to.
What made you think there were factories? Why?
The building, just the building from outside, the shape of the building, and that, because we hadn't got buildings like those apart from offices and things like that, but houses wasn't like that.
So what you're saying is houses looked like factories, yeah?
From my point of view, when I look at them from the outside, not going inside, well, let me say, when I was landing in the plane, everything looks, as I said before, like a factory. But when I get where I was going and went inside and see what it's like, it's different. Mm-hmm. But on the outside, it looks so funny to me.
Mm-hmm. And where did you land?
Heathrow.
Heathrow, okay.
Yeah.
And you said the place where you had to get to, so where was your destination?
Well, in Causley. Was it Causley?
Yeah, there is
yes.
Causley.
Yes. Went to Causley.
And who were you? What contact did you have there?
That's where we lived.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
And what were your emotions like at the time? Because obviously, you're
coming into a strange country. Yes,
and the things you left behind.
Yes, it's very strange, and meeting different people, because he was the only one I knew then, but with different people living in the house. As he's a tenant at the time, tenant house, but we get to become friendly with each other because he was living there. He introduced me to everybody, and we get on from there.
So he was a tenant in a house which was shared with how many people?
Owned by a wife and husband and children. I can't remember how many children, but at the time they were small. It's only about 3 children, I think it was.
And they used to just let...
And another couple that they and my husband went to school together.
Okay. Were the family that housed yourselves and the other couple white or black? Or
no, they were black.
Black family, okay. And...
Jamaican as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what did you do next? Did you look for work? How did you settle in?
Well, I settled in quite well, but I hadn't started working because it was too cold. And at the time, you could get jobs, but my husband didn't want me to work at that moment. It would give me a bit of time to get used to things. Mm-hmm. And a little later on, a few months after, I started applying for jobs.
What kind?
Well, I started applying, nursing really, but I didn't get into nursing because I started having children.
What kind of work was your husband doing at this stage when you first came here?
He worked in a factory.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the name or what type of factory, what they produced there?
He worked for Stewart and Lloyd in Bilston.
One of the bigger ones, yeah.
Yes, and I can't remember if he lives there and went to where he is at the moment. I think he did. At the moment he's working for Beans Foundry, so I think he worked different little factories, but I can't remember them all. I think he leaves Stewart and Lloyd and went to Beans.
So, you said you got friendly with the people in the house you lived with.
Mm.
Were you able to meet many other black families, black people?
Oh yes, yes.
How?
Because they were here before me, mm-hmm. and they get acquainted with many people, many people who are from the same district as us, and from the same town as my husband, and the other people. You know, we get to know many people because we leave from here and we go to Birmingham to visit friends, here in Wolverhampton, London,
Okay.
different places to visit other people. You know, like on a weekend, we go out for a weekend.
Excuse me. Were you able to practice your religion when you came to this country?
Practice my religion.
Well,
Go to church,
yeah.
yes,
You were.
yeah.
So, was that a white church or a black church, or?
White.
And were there any problems with?
No. We've never had any problems. I've visited other churches, which is the same, well, not the same, but different denominations.
Mm-hmm.
I went as visitors, Seventh-day Adventists, Church of God of Prophecy, different churches, but we were always Anglican.
And so what you're saying is you were received well by the white.
Yes, in that area
Which
yeah.
In Cosley.
Yes.
Okay. Did you? So you said earlier you applied for nursing, but you didn't get through because you started having children. Is that right?
Yes, and well, that's how it was.
How many children do you have?
I've got 6 children.
6 children.
Yes.
How many boys? How many girls?
I've got 5 girls and a boy.
So obviously, did you at some stage you must have moved from the house in Coast?
Yes, we leave from that address to Parkfields, and then from Parkfields to Bilston, and then we moved from Bilston back up to our own house in Pond Lane.
Have you ever experienced any kind of negative response to you, any kind of discrimination, whether it be, formally, whether it be informally?
You mean towards living accommodation or
Any
generally?
Any discrimination generally, whether it be on a bus, whether it be in relation to housing?
Yes, I've come across a few, but I don't take any notice. I just, like people will call me names. I just walk away. I just, ignore them.
Call you names when? Would this have been before?
In the times I've been living in Wolverhampton.
Throughout the ages?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what you're saying is there wasn't more discrimination when you first got here compared to now. It's been...
Yeah, there was discrimination, but I hadn't come across a lot of it towards myself. I've known of other people. But, well, towards myself, I have had a few, but not that vast amount, if you know what I mean.
Uh-huh. How did you find bringing up your children? I mean, obviously you had experience nannying, and you came from a big family yourself. How did you find?
I cope quite well, because my husband helped me, and I know the way to get around with them, so I was all right. If
What were the difficulties in bringing up children in another country compared to obviously yourself having grown up in Jamaica?
Well, in Jamaica you have more surroundings where children can go about, but here you've only got your back garden, and with me being in a strange country, I never allow my children to go and play in the streets like some people do. They're always in the back garden. And, that's what I always break them to, not to go out on the street.
That's interesting you say that. Does that mean, you say strange country, when did you ever, or do you ever feel, when did you get comfortable? Or does it still feel strange?
Not as such now as it was then, because I was years younger, and having my children while I was young, I have had more like fear of them going out and, you know, getting themselves into trouble or get killed or anything like that. You know, they go to school and when they come home, they're supposed to stop at home, not playing on the street.
Okay.
If you're with me.
What would they have done in Jamaica? Where would they have gone? You said there's more spaces, but where?
Well, in our surroundings, right, there's different houses, which is more or less the same family.
Right.
And they've got like fields to play, which we can see them all. But here now, they'd have to go like into a area where there's playing field, but they're out of your sight. You with me?
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So I break them that when they come in from school, they stop at home. If we're going out, we're going out. Or when they grow a bit older, and the older one will take them down the bottom of the road across to the field or over the other side. But other than that, they don't play out.
So, were your children brought up practicing Christianity as well?
Yes, yes, I try that.
Mm-hmm.
They went to church.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, there's the one girl that is a Christian, but the others, they just, you know, visit church. They're not in
Practicing, yeah.
Yeah.
And what about your husband?
Yes, we both go to church, the same church.
What kind of activities did you participate in, or perhaps still do, in terms for social?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't done much activities because by the time I finish at home, I haven't got much energy left. If you know what. I know you've got to make time to do those sort of things, but I hadn't gone out to the gym or anything like that.
But in your lifetime, I'm sure people always say this. They can easily say, you know, oh, I don't have time for this and that. But you must enjoy doing some things. Whether they be, do you enjoy church for one?
Yes.
Do you enjoy going to people's weddings? You know, I mean, there must be.
Oh, that sort of thing. Well, yes. I enjoy stopping at home, looking after my family, and attending weddings, birthdays, and associate with other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So, how important are people in your life?
Quite important, because I think you should live for each other, not just for yourself, because you do need help from time to time. And if you're selfish with people, you can't get on, can you? You know, you've got to associate with people. If you're associating with people and you notice they're not your type, to say, well, then they're bad influence, then you're the one to make that decision whether you keep them as friends or not.
Were you in any way, or have you ever had any interest in politics?
No, I'm not. Never interested in politics.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And what do you feel like your contribution has been? What kind of achievements have you, contributed to Wolverhampton?
Well, what do you mean? What do I contribute to Wolverhampton?
We all play a role in society, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be through working in the factory and building the economy, or whether it be through being involved maybe with setting up an organisation, all sorts of things.
Mm.
Whether it be through passing on your skills to others.
Well, I haven't got much skills to pass on that most of my people hasn't got. We're more like work together sort of thing, because we go to other families, we do things together,
Mm-hmm.
like we do sewing and cooking, every little thing together.
So in a sense, you've been increasing the quality of life for other people
Yes.
by interacting, by
Yes.
communicating.
Yes.
And earlier on, you did talk about yourself being, people being quite important in your life, and the kinds of activities you do are based around people.
Yes. Yes.
And of course, you've brought up 6 children.
Yes. And helping others with theirs as well, like friends
Yeah.
and relatives.
What kind of mother do you think you are? How would you describe yourself as a mother?
Well, without too much praise, I think I'm a good mother.
What does that mean? What does good mean? How do you describe a good mother?
Well, I've always cared for my children, love them, try to teach them right from wrong, and do the best I can for them.
And do you think they'll have an easier time, with their lives, with having children, all those sorts of things?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
What changes have you seen in Wolverhampton since you first arrived here?
Oh, lots of changes. Lots and lots of changes. First of all, the town wasn't like this. It's always changed a awful lot.
Mm-hmm. On a physical level, it's changed a lot.
Yes, yes.
What about in terms of people? How do the people have changed over the years?
Again, there's a lot of changes. They get more familiar with black people.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them. You still find they had one or two that will, turn their noses up at you. But most of them now, they're more, what would you say, popular with black people. Still, you still find racism going on.
How do you think we can counteract that?
Well, to me, there isn't a lot we can do, is there? Because I don't think you can change everybody. You can't change people from what they believe or the belief that they've got.
But do you believe in education?
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I didn't believe in education, I wouldn't send my children to school. I wouldn't try to bring them up in to go to church, and of course you got to.
What can we do with education though? What can we, in terms of?
What do you mean? What can we do with education?
What does it do to us?
Well, what it does to us, it makes us. What would you put it? It makes us more aware of what's going on around us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And for the younger generation that are coming up, it gives us more. Now, what's the right word for it? It gives them more opportunity to get through life, because if you don't have education, you can't get by, can you? You got to have education to get by.
So, would you say, can people understand each other better through education?
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay, what kind of effect do you think having moved to Wolverhampton has had on your life?
Well, to be honest, I don't know really. To say what effect it's got on me.
Do you think you're glad that it's happened?
That I've been to Wolverhampton, or that I came to England, or
both. I mean, that you came to England to meet with your husband, and that you settled here. You had 6 children here. You've lived here. You've been part of this community, this society.
Yes, it's a good thing that happened, because at least, as I said earlier on, it you want to know what the other side of the world is like. It is it is it is good to explore, if you put it like that, and it gives me more incitement of life, of things, different things and different people, different type of people, if that's the right word for it.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say to me, Daphne?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
I hope I'm of help to your organisation.
Thank you, you've been great. Thank you, Daphne.
You're welcome.